Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to another presentation by the Milton High School MSA. In this video, we'll be talking about Category 3 competition. So, if you like writing, grab your pen and pencil. Okay, so our first competition is the extemporaneous essay. This is a pretty popular one for people that like working under pressure. If you don't like working under pressure, I'd say stay out of all the extemporaneous stuff. A maximum of 2 competitors per team or school can compete. Be sure to check in with your MSA if it is a coalition team. There is no preparation before the event except for finding reference materials. You're going to have 3 random topics that are going to be provided to you, and you have to choose one topic to write for their essay. So, I don't know if you guys take AP Lang or have taken the SAT yet, but it's going to be like that, and you get 3 different options. You have to choose one to write about. All of your topics will connect to the theme in some way, so make sure you know your theme really well. You are allowed a whole hour to write your essay. It has to be written with correct English grammar standards, correct spelling. You can turn in your essay earlier, but no later than the 60-minute deadline. You can bring printed reference materials or quotations that are relevant to the theme to use in your essay, but they can't be like prepared notes or prepared essay. It has to be, for example, if you have a quote from the CDC about death, because you want to use that in your race against time essay, then you can have the quote there, you can have the source there, but if you write underneath that, this connects to the theme because blah blah blah, that probably won't be allowed. But since all of these materials are reviewed by the test proctor before, I'd say go ahead, take notes on your reference materials and their sources, and then copy that, and on your copy then actually write in the margins how it connects to the theme and show both copies to the judge. If it goes well, he'll let you have one of those copies. If he doesn't let you have the one that connects to the theme, at least you've written that out and you know how it does connect to the theme. No electronics are allowed in the room. If they see a cell phone, you're disqualified. Extemporaneous speaking goes along the same way, but it's not a really long essay, more you're writing a speech. Maximum of 2 students per team or school can compete, and you can use references as long as they're cited, but those have to be provided by you yourself. You don't get any bonus points for doing so I don't know. You should probably get yourself familiar with a couple of references, but if you stress out or you get the sources confused, then that's okay. You don't have to do it. 15 minutes before the competitions begin, you're going to be given a bowl or a hat or something, and you're going to choose 3 topics out of that bowl, and out of those 3 topics you choose one that you're going to write your speech about. You're going to have 15 minutes to write that speech, but you can't use any visual aids, so no charts, no graphs, no notes, and you can't talk to anybody else either. And you can't leave your brainstorming space until it's time for you to make your speech. Your time limit is 7 minutes maximum with a 30-second grace period. A violation of this will result in you being placed last in the round, and the judges will try to give you signals, so make sure you go in and before the competition begins, arrive 5 to 10 minutes early and ask them, hey, I know that you guys are coming, giving us some visual signals. Can you tell me what those are, just so I can look out for them? And they actually vary crazily based on the judges. One guy used a top hat, and he'd take off his hat if you were going over, or he'd put it on. Another judge unscrewed their water bottle one year and held the cap in the air when they wanted you to know that your time was running out. So make sure you know, because sometimes it's stuff you don't even see coming. This one guy just flipped his pencil in the air, so you probably won't think of that as a signal, but be on the lookout. Original oratory. No more than 2 competitors per team or school can compete in this, and you have to prepare a 7-minute speech before the competition, and you're going to print out 3 copies at home and put in a manila folder with your missed ID number and original oratory written in it, and you're going to turn those in at registration. Now remember, once again, registration runs from about 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. on the first day of the competition, and you're not allowed to use the university's printers 99% of the time. So if you forgot to print it, that would be really bad for you. I'd recommend a week before the competition. Print out everything and like put it on your desk at home, or a dresser, somewhere that you know you're not going to lose it. And you're allowed no more than 150 words to be quoted from somewhere else. And any non-factual reference that you use has to be identified, especially personal examples. I don't know if they want you to expressly identify them or not, as I haven't competed in this, but if you have any questions, you can read the rule book. If that doesn't help, ask your MSA. If they don't help you, email your Miss Region. They can help you clear all that confusion. No visual aids, no electronics are allowed. If they see a phone, you are automatically disqualified. Have the same rules here when it comes to time and extemporaneous speaking. You get 7 minutes with a 30-second grace period. The violation will make you come in last place. So make sure that you ask your judges for what the signals are that they're going to give you. Next is poetry. This is actually a really popular competition. A maximum of 2 students are allowed per team in this competition. You can use any style or genre of poetry. You can use rhyme, lyric, dramatic, narrative, or free verse. All poems have to have a title and cannot exceed 40 lines in length. Technically, it's 41 lines if you're counting the title. Poems have to be the original work of your entrant, and you cannot have them published or publish them yourself or broadcast before January 2017. What I'd recommend for all of these competitions in writing, please, I know that I self-publish my stuff too, but I wait until April or May after Mist is over so that I can self-publish it, because it would be terrible for you to get disqualified because you published something in February and the rule book said January, So just to be safe, wait until your competition is over and then you can go ahead and self-publish it. I know a lot of self-publishing websites will let you make drafts. So make your thing a draft, and all you have to do is the day after Mist is over, click the publish button. We're not allowed to have a handwritten poem. They have to be typed in black ink. They can be double or single spaced, but I'd recommend please be kind to the judges and double space it. Trust me, they really appreciate it a lot when you do that. And even if I don't know how to do this, but if you can mess around with Word and get it so that it actually labels lines for you, that would also be really appreciated by the judges. And you have to turn in a PDF copy, either email it or look on the website of your region, because all these regions have different. For Miss Atlanta, it's an online website submission 2 weeks before the regional tournament. And for Miss Atlanta, you also have to print 3 copies and put them in manila folders with your Miss ID and competition name. And you also have to write a written statement. Requirements are in the rule book. Be sure to check that out. Okay, so if you are one that you don't feel comfortable doing the extemporaneous essay and you'd rather write it at home and have time to go over all of your citations and stuff, then Prepared Essay is for you. It's pretty popular. I'd say it's the 3rd most popular competition. Number 1 is poetry, number 2 is short fiction, which we'll get to. Number 3 is Prepared Essay. So no more than 2 competitors per team or school. Your essay has to be typed and double-spaced. Has to be on white 8.5-inch times 11-inch paper. That's normal copy paper. Has to be stapled in the left-hand corner. Please make sure you don't paperclip it. It has to be stapled. It's a really tiny rule, but please just follow it. You don't want to get docked points because you didn't staple it. The essay has to have a cover page. The cover page includes the title of your essay and your Miss ID. If you use any outside sources, you have to use proper MLA citations as well as a works cited page at the end of the essay. And a PDF copy of the written essay has to be emailed or uploaded to the regional website 2 weeks before the tournament deadline for the regional tournament. So say your tournament is on March 14th, then you have to turn in your work by February 28th. And you have to print out 3 copies in manila folders and provide them at registration. Your written essay has to be a minimum of 1,500 words and a maximum of 2,000 words. Please note, abbreviations and acronyms are counted, but a, and the. Those 3 words in the parentheses, those are not counted. Be sure to find those within your essay and exclude them out of the word count if you know how to do so. If you write too long, they only read the first 2,000 words. A written statement Following the rules and addressing all the questions in the rulebook has to be provided in both the PDF and paper copies of the essay. Okay, we're at short fiction. This is my favorite competition, and I can give you a lot of tips because I've placed in short fiction before. No more than 2 students per team or school are allowed to compete, and you have to identify a target audience. Now, they're not really specific. I know it says age group in the rule book, but what I do personally is I'll look at it and I'll be like, okay, if this were a book, then which one of my friends would I give it to read it? You know, based on like their reading level. And typically I write at a reading level for kids in grades 7 through 11, so I'll write that on my essay. Or if you want to write an adult, or young adults, or children, you can write that, but if you write the word children, please specify which age group of children, you know, toddlers, preteens, middle-aged children, you know. It's cool to have an age group, but I'd recommend that grades are a bit easier when it comes to writing about what your target audience is, as not everybody is at the same place when we are 5 or 6 years old. Some of us can read, some of us don't even know our ABCs, so, you know. You have to submit a PDF version of your submission 2 weeks before the deadline, and 3 paper copies in manila folders have to be provided at registration. Everything has to be typed, has to be double-spaced. You need a cover page that has your missed ID and your title and the intended audience group on it only, and has to be typed and printed out on normal copy paper, stapled in the left-hand corner, guys, and be no longer than 10 pages long. Times New Roman 12.5. Now, what I do is I actually go through and I'll write it out single-spaced first. If I get about 5.5 pages, then I'll have about 11 pages double-spaced. So then I'll go back and, like, you know, cut out a couple unnecessary sentences or stuff. But, you know, get your friends to read it and stuff. A written statement has to accompany both the PDF and paper copies. Rules for that are in the rule book. And some tips about your story. Think of the theme. Say 2016, for example, the race against time. What are the first 2 to 3 words that pop in your mind? For me, it's death and, you know, like, hatred, or, like, you know, some type of deadline. And that's what I think about when I think of the race against time. Make sure when you write your story, it does not connect to any of those 3 or 2 words you just chose at all. Because what they do is the judges will use a similar method to choose what they decide is cliche or not. And a lot of the times you'll see people, they see, oh, race against time, that means death. So last year, everybody wrote about death except for me, and that's actually what got me to win first place, that I didn't write about death. Think of something that actually doesn't make sense. I know you probably wouldn't say that, but think of something that doesn't make sense. For me, I wrote about a girl going blind. I mean, it's not like she's racing against time or anything, but in your written statement, you explain how that connects to the theme. So what I did was I said, okay, so the girl is going blind, and that represents the race against time, because the race against time is all about appreciating life before you die, and appreciating the beauty of life. And because the girl is losing her sight, she's losing the biggest sense that humans use to see beauty. So, I don't know, that's how I connected it. And make sure you write about how your story is different than other stories, you know? That's what they want to see, and that's the essential question. That's why they want written statements. What makes you different? Think of that when you write. You also have spoken word. This is a really cool competition, not only because it's like maybe the most popular competition at MIST, but also because it's open to audiences. So you can actually go and sit down and watch all of these really inspiring and really cool people say a bunch of like great speeches, and a lot of the times these speeches will be recorded and MIST will put them on YouTube and stuff. So, you know, I recommend, if you're not doing anything and you've already submitted your competitions, go and watch spoken word. No more than 2 students per team or school. You have to provide 3 copies of your piece in a manila folder with Miss ID, you know, we went over this, to be turned in at orientation. MIST nor the university will photocopy pieces for you, so please photocopy them at home. I'd recommend, you know, once again, anywhere from a week until 2 days before, print everything out and put it somewhere safe where you know you will be able to access it the day before MIST. You have to compete with the piece exactly as it is submitted at the time. You cannot, like, omit words and change it or stuff. Orations have to be labeled with only the missed ID. You cannot write like, spoken word under the missed ID. I don't know why they do that, but they do. You're judged based on 6 criteria: writing, performance, originality, sincerity, and inspiration. If you know you lack in maybe your writing skills, or you're not the best performer, then try to make up for it in everything else, Use a lot of hand gestures, practice, practice, practice. You can see the difference at this competition if you're watching between the kids that practiced and the kids that didn't. I'd recommend do it with your friends. Start 2, then go 4, 6, 8. If you can do it to 12 friends, then change it and then do it in front of your family. And do it in front of your family every night for 1 week before the actual tournament. And if you can make that speech in front of your family and not get all flustered up, or make it in front of that one sibling, then, that's great, and you'll be ready. Also, if you have a really great ELA teacher, go and do it with her. Your performance cannot exceed 6 minutes. You don't have a grace period here, so I recommend give yourself 5 minutes and 45 seconds so you have a 2-minute grace period, to go, or if you mess up, if you accidentally omit a word, you go back. So, try and memorize your speech too. Points will be deducted from the total point score if you exceed the allotted time. They're going to give you signals. Make sure you ask what those signals are. Thank you for watching this presentation, and we hope to see you back to watch a Category 4 video soon.